What's up, everybody? It's your boy Nick Reese back on another video back on the wrestling channel. And guys, I know I've been really inconsistent on this channel, but the reason being I have two channels. I have this channel and I have my NBA 2K channel. I produce a lot of NBA 2K content, but happy holidays. It's been a while since I uploaded on this account. But today it's going to be a little bit of a different video. I'm going to be fantasy booking WrestleMania 37. Now, I haven't really been watching the WWE product consistently. The last segment I seen, and I always crack up when I think about it, is when Owens and Bobby Lashley were in a rivalry, and when Sami Zayn and Bobby Lashley did that drag queen stuff on Raw. But, I've been checking out online a couple times. Like, I know what Roman Reigns and Drew McIntyre have been doing this year. The Hurt Business, I think they're on a roll this year. I'm sure you see some of the matches I have on the thumbnail. I'm going to explain all these matches. I'm going to talk about every match I would have on the show. So without further ado, let's get into how I would fantasy book WrestleMania 37 this year. And yeah, I'll just explain. Let's get into it. Alright, so let's start off with the undercard. I think the Fiend versus Jeff Hardy would be an excellent match. I think these two would have tremendous chemistry together, and I wouldn't even mind if they made this a cinematic match like they've been having. Like last year, they had the Fiend versus John Cena and that cinematic match. What if these guys had a cinematic match, or even if they didn't want to go that route, they would have a tremendous, probably 4 or 5, even 5-star singles match on the undercard, and it would be amazing in my opinion. But yeah, I would have these two face off, and it would be a high quality and very underrated match. And look, I mean, the Fiend, since his feud with Randy Orton, it's looking like he's not going to be doing much. So why not give him Jeff Hardy as an opponent for WrestleMania? I think it could be a really good match. And quick, guys, before we move on to the next match, I would like to make it clear, I'd like there to be a match that's never really happened ever before on the WrestleMania card, and that would be some sort of NXT showcase match. You don't have to have Finn Balor defend his title at WrestleMania, but I'd say have like 3 guys from NXT have a triple threat or something like that, so we can showcase NXT, man. NXT has been getting a lot of hate from Vince and his cronies for years, man. Like, let's give them one match slot for WrestleMania, and let's show the people what the NXT guys and maybe even some cruiserweights can do, man. They're really important. NXT is part of WWE too. It may be NXT's being booked like its own company, but it's all WWE. They should have at least one match at WrestleMania, in my opinion. I don't know. What do you guys think about that? Next up, I don't know how possible this match would be, because Seth Rollins, as we all know, he went to go and get some time off to chill with his newborn baby. But the thing is, I think this match would be very underrated, just like the Fiend and Jeff Hardy. You have the new Intercontinental Champion Big E taking on Seth Rollins for the Intercontinental Championship. This could be a very good match, in my opinion. I don't know how it can happen, though, if Seth Rollins is going to be home past WrestleMania, and I wouldn't blame him to take even more time off. But I think this match would be cool. Plus, I don't really see any other challenges for the IC Championship. I mean, maybe Kevin Owens, but as you'll see later on in the video, I have Kevin Owens in another match already. You have to wait and see. But yeah, man, this is another match I would have. Rollins versus Big E for the Intercontinental Championship. Next up, this would probably be the least important, least credible match on this card, but I had to come up with something for the women's tag titles. To this day, I still don't understand why these were invented in the WWE. WWE can't even get their singles women's divisions right. How can they expect to get a tag team division for the women right? But I would have Charlotte and Asuka on an episode of Raw or something lose the titles to Nia Jax and Shayna Baszler, and then I'd bring back Naomi and Natalya as a team, and I'd have these 4 females right here take on each other for the women's tag team championships. Just a random matchup. I had to come up with something for these titles, and I don't know why these are existing in the company, but it is what it is. So yeah. Next up on the card, I would have a ladder match with the winner receiving a title opportunity of their choosing. They could go for one of the mid-card titles, or one of the world championships on either brand if they wanted to. And in this ladder match, I would have big names in this match. I'm not talking jobbers, because either way, Vince fired his jobbers like 6 months ago during the pandemic, And I think this ladder match would be good, and you get a lot of variety of superstars. You get your decent mass superstars like Braun Strowman, Sheamus, Matt Riddle, and Baron Corbin. And then you get your veterans like John Cena and Rey Mysterio. And then you get some of your all-star wrestlers who are really good in the ring. Not saying the others aren't, but these types of wrestlers like AJ Styles, Cesaro, Kevin Owens, and Sami Zayn. You have a great mix of talent. It would be a pretty good match. I mean, if you look on the screen, it's pretty wide variety of superstars. And actually, I'm going to let you guys know who I think should win this match. I'd actually give it to Cesaro, believe it or not. I think WWE's dropped the ball with Cesaro, and I would give him this win and give him a future Universal title shot. I think it would be cool, but let me know who you would want to win this match right here. Let me know your thoughts on this match. Next up, WWE probably will never do this again, but I would actually have the Hurt Business defend the Raw Tag titles against the Street Profits, and they'll defend the SmackDown Tag titles, and we will merge the divisions. That's how I'd fantasy book the tag team division. I mean, look, let me explain why I would merge the divisions. At this point, there's like 3, 4, maybe 5 teams per division, and every year since like 2016, it's looked very ugly. And as you'll see for the women, I'm doing the same for the women. That's a little spoiler alert, but it's on the thumbnail. But I'm gonna combine the tag team divisions, and I'm gonna have these guys defend both belts, and they're gonna unify the tag belts so that we can once again get back to actual tag team wrestling and have a massive division. When you go from 5 teams in 2 divisions to 10 teams for 1 division, it becomes more stacked, and all the teams will be able to wrestle on both shows. But I would have the Hurt Business take over and take these belts, and they'll become the unified, undisputed tag team champions. Let me know what you think about this idea. Next up, since we just talked about the unification of the tag division, let's talk about the unification of the women's female singles division. And how I would build this match is you would have a Fatal 4-Way match. You have Raw Women's Champion Asuka defending against Sasha Banks, the SmackDown Women's Champion, which is defending the SmackDown Women's Champion against the Royal Rumble winner Bayley. And Charlotte Flair is here because she's Charlotte Flair, and she would interject into this match. I was going to have a triple threat, but let's look at real life. Vince loves Charlotte, and Charlotte would just boss around and just want to be a part of this match. So I would have a Fatal 4-Way match for the unified, undisputed Women's Championship. The winner of this match gets both titles, and honestly, I could see any 4 of these women winning this match, but I'd probably give it to Sasha or Bayley. I'm leaning towards Bayley because that's a little biased because I like Bayley's heel run. She's had the best run of her career this year, and maybe she deserves this, but I wouldn't be mad if any of these women won. Well, Charlotte Flair, yeah, but I could see either one of these women winning. Who would you want to win this match? Let me know. Next up, we have the Legend Killer Randy Orton against the returning Edge. Now, I know a lot of people probably don't want to see this, and they think we've already seen the culmination, but let's face it, this feud didn't end. It only ended technically because Edge got injured again, and he's had terrible luck, man. He came back from a neck injury that lasted a lot of years, and then just 2 matches later he gets injured again. Like, bad luck, but I think he will be back for WrestleMania, and I think these guys are going to have their final blow-off match number 3 because the series is tied 1-1, and Orton won the last feud, so I think this match will probably end up being an I Quit match, or I'd even say have this be a Hell in a Cell match, but I don't want Edge getting injured, so let's just have this be an I Quit match, and let's call it a day. And I would have Edge win this and have the feud blow off right here. This is the end of their feud, and I'd have Edge take the victory and make Randy Orton say, I quit. Next up, quite possibly the biggest match on this card, and maybe even the biggest matchup that we've seen in the last 5 years at WrestleMania. Bobby Lashley from the Hurt Business versus Brock Lesnar. I mean, if you guys want it to be for the U.S. title, it can be, but honestly, it's Brock Lesnar. I don't think he would care. Plus, I don't even know if this will happen in real life, but it doesn't have to be for the U.S. title. It can just be a straight fight, man. These two are going to fight, and in the end, I'd actually have Bobby Lashley go over, and this would help make the Hurt Business strong, and you'll see later the whole point of this WrestleMania is to make the Hurt Business the most dominant group in the WWE, but I'll get into more of that later. But yeah, Lashley and Lesnar, and I'd have Lashley go over, and if it's for the U.S. title, he'll retain, but again, it doesn't have to be for the U.S. title. Alright, next up, guys, I have the co-main event of WrestleMania, the Elimination Chamber #1 contender Keith Lee versus WWE Champion Drew McIntyre. How I would build this matchup is, you see actually right now they're having a feud on Raw, and here's how I book it. At the Royal Rumble, I have these two face off. Keith Lee loses, right? Then the next month at Elimination Chamber, I have Keith Lee win the #1 contenders Elimination Chamber. The reason is because there's a guy in the main event after this that wins the Royal Rumble. I'm not going to spoil it right now. Keith Lee versus Drew McIntyre at WrestleMania, and I would have, believe it or not, Keith Lee walk away with the belt with the help and a heel turn of the Hurt Business. And the last visual we see for this match is all of them on top of the stage or in the ring, whatever, holding up every belt there is on Raw, and the tag belts. Now they have the WWE, the US, and the tag belts for both brands, and this would solidify them because they're already the best group I've seen in a while, but this would only make them like 1,000 times better. And yeah, man, I'd actually be interested to see Keith Lee as a heel. But yeah, I give Keith Lee the WWE Championship, and the Hurt Business are on top of the mountain. Alright guys, lastly, the main event of WrestleMania. Now I know before I explain myself for this match, I know some of you are probably wondering, hey, where's The Rock? Why isn't The Rock on this card? Okay, there's a lot of reasons why The Rock isn't in this spot, in my view of fantasy book in WrestleMania 37. Reason number one, and the most important reason, is, look, I know they have the things where the people can technically watch. They're technically watching in the arena, but they're really watching from home. But The Rock is not going to go for that. At least I would think he's not going to go for that. The Rock is a mainstream attraction. The Rock is one of, if not the most important and well-known celebrities in the world. He's not he's not facing someone at WrestleMania in front of nobody. Two, I know it's the perfect storyline right now, the Samoan Dynasty storyline with Reigns and the Usos, and the Tribal Chief storyline, and that passing of the torch from the family. And The Rock would be the perfect guy to come out and take down Reigns. But it wouldn't hurt if next year, like WrestleMania 38, that's when we get fans back, and that's when The Rock actually comes back. Who knows? Maybe Roman will have the belt for a few more years. Who knows? But all I know is Daniel Bryan. Here's the reasoning for me choosing Daniel Bryan. I'd have Daniel Bryan win the Royal Rumble. Number one, he's been the workhorse for a couple years. Number two, the history is there. They have a great storyline as well that spews the last couple years. One point for the story would be they faced off at Fastlane a couple years ago to determine the #1 contender for the WWE title. And then the second point of this story, and Reigns could use this legit as a shoot, because this is what happened. This isn't fake or part of storyline. This was shoot. The reason Reigns wasn't good as a babyface and the people booed him every night was because we wanted Daniel Bryan. The people wanted Daniel Bryan, and that's the reason Reigns didn't get over, because they wanted Daniel Bryan, and Reigns can use that as a shoot in their promos building up to this match. And in the end, I'd have Roman Reigns take the title. I'd have him win. But this would be a heck of a match, man, I'm telling you. But yeah, man, let me know what you guys think about this match, and what do you think about my card in general? What would you change about it? What matches do you want to see at WrestleMania 37? How would you book the show? I thank you for taking the time out of your day for watching this. It's been your boy Nick Ruiz. Please like, comment, sub if you're new. I'm off for now. Peace.